Hello, this is Joshua for Frost Dragon Designs, and today I'd like to talk to you about my Relic Hunter cat, Hard Enamel Pin. Every month in 2023, I'm releasing a new standalone RPG cat through my website. This month's design is the Relic Hunter. Now let's get into the design. I'm going to start off by saying that yes, this pin was definitely inspired by Indiana Jones, but also inspired by a Hearthstone character called Reno Jackson, who in turn was inspired by Indiana Jones. That wasn't always the case though. You see, I have sketched many RPG cats that are using whips as a main weapon. I have sketches that are more circus type looking, where they've got like a chair in one hand and a whip in the other, like an old school lion tamer. I've got ones where they look more like a vampire type hunter, kind of like a goth look going on. And I've got ones like this where it's really inspired by the Indiana Jones type look with like a bomber jacket and a fedora. And at the end of the day, this was the sketch that I chose to work with. I could have gone with any of those directions or like an infinite number of other directions, but sometimes it is just fun to embrace the pop culture inspirations and work with them. It's the same thing when you're playing an RPG. It's great to create your own character all the way from scratch, but sometimes it's fun to have a pop culture reference be an inspiration for a character that you're playing. It's a similar type concept. Do I want this to actually be Indiana Jones or Reno Jackson? No, of course not. It's just inspired by it. It's meant to elicit that same feeling of adventure, that same kind of unpredictable, I'm willing to take a risk if it's got a big enough payoff type of attitude that those characters exemplify. But I'm not going to lie, I do like the hat and I do like leather jackets. So, take that for what it is. Now, one thing that I definitely wanted to do to help up the fantasy level of this character design was it wasn't just a whip. I wanted it to be a flaming whip. Now, this isn't like a whip that they've lit on fire. This is like a magically enchanted whip that produces fire without burning the actual whip itself. I struggled a little bit with trying to figure out how to actually show this with the pin design, though. My son thought that this was like some sort of a magical torch, and the flame just happened to be kind of curved in that encircling way. Which is a fine interpretation of it. Like, I'm not going to say, no, that can't be how you look at it. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that either. But the intention was that this is a magically flaming whip. And as I was working on the design, I struggled with trying to figure out, should the whip part be black to show that more easily? Should I have it red, kind of like it's inside the flame and being colored a little bit? Or should I have the flame be obscuring the whip itself? And in the final design, that's what I ended up doing. You don't see the whip other than the handle in the final design. You just see this trail of fire that's encircling the character. That didn't necessarily make it much easier, though, to be honest. Fire is a challenging thing to illustrate, especially for an enamel pin where, it's those hard edges, because real fire is very wiggly. It's got parts that you can see through. It's got a lot of gradient, parts that are bright, parts that are darker, parts that are yellow, parts that are orange, sometimes parts that are blue or green or some other colors thrown in there. It's movement. It's got a life to it. And I feel like it's very challenging for me to get that type of look in an enamel pin design. I mean, obviously a lot of my designs have fire type elements, be it, natural colored fire or, like a pink flame or a green flame around the lich pin designs. So, I mean, I do it a lot, but I feel like I have a lot of room for improvement. Each time I do it, I feel like it gets a little better. And I love that I'm getting better at illustrating flames. But I'm also dreading the day when I look back at some of my older pin designs and go, what was I thinking? Why did I draw it that way? But that just kind of naturally happens as you improve. You gain a skill set and you go back and look at your earlier works and you go, yep, I have improved. So I guess nothing really to be embarrassed there about, but I am dreading the day where I look back and feel a little awkward about some of the earlier pin designs. You can see that I tried adding a third color to the flame. I tried adding that darker orange to the very edge of it. I liked it well enough, But when I asked the few family and friends who I shared designs with before they're completed, almost every single one of them preferred it with just the two color flame. So sorry if you prefer it with that third darker orange around the outside of it, but I ended up going with the simpler version that had one less color. After I was reasonably satisfied with the way the flaming whip looked, I turned my attention back to the character herself. I wanted to make sure that the jacket had a good look about it. I've always loved the look of like the World War II Navy bomber jackets with the fur collars. I just like that aesthetic. So that's kind of what I was going for with the jacket. And then with the shirt, I just thought it would be a nice addition to have it be like a button-down type shirt that they're wearing. Felt like it was a nice, crisp contrast to the kind of chaos that was going around them. So like it's the circle of fire, this kind of circle of chaos, but they're wearing a nice, clean, well-pressed white button-down shirt. I felt like that was a good contrast in concept. You can also see that I've given the character a machete-like sword. As fun as having a whip as a main weapon is, sometimes you just need a cutting edge, whether it's to, chop down some vines or, whatever else. So I really wanted to make sure that this character had that versatility because this is a Relic Hunter. I wanted this character to look like they were ready for whatever situation they were going to encounter. And so having a bladed weapon is not just for cool looks, it's also for the concept of utility in whatever environment they happen to find themselves in. I had briefly thought about giving them some sort of like a knife instead and having that like holstered on their waistband, on their belt. But then I thought about it a little more, and I liked the idea of an unsheathed machete-like sword just because of the impact that that would have visually on both the actual design and the silhouette of the design. I just felt like it would help make it a stronger looking design. I hope that you've enjoyed watching me design this pin, hearing me talk about some of the decisions I made and why I made them. If you did, please go ahead, like and subscribe. I have a new video out every week, and I would love to have you along for the next one. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of your day.